There was a kid in every classroom. You probably know which one I'm talking about. Not the troublemaker, not the class clown, not the one that teacher loved. The quiet one. The one who always sat near the window, watching. The one who laughed a little late because they were still processing what everyone else already forgot. The one who had entire conversations in their head that never made it out of their mouth. Maybe that kid was someone you knew, or maybe, deep down, you already know that kid was you. Being the quiet kid wasn't just a personality trait, it was a full experience. Walking into a room and immediately scanning for the safest seat, one that wasn't too close to the noise, but not so far back that people wondered if something was wrong with you. Sitting through group projects and watching your ideas get ignored, and then hearing the same idea from someone louder get celebrated 5 minutes later. Raising your hand halfway up, then slowly lowering it because something inside you said, "Don't risk it." People said you were shy. Teachers wrote it on your report card like it was a diagnosis. Your parents quietly worried. Some kids just assumed you were stuck up. But none of them knew what was actually going on inside that head of yours, because inside, it was never quiet. Here's what no one tells you about quiet kids. They don't miss things, they absorb them. When the teacher was lecturing, you weren't zoning out, you were listening to everything. The words, the tone shifts, the way someone in the third row was about to cry. When two friends argued at lunch, you already knew how it would end before either of them did. You read rooms the way other people read books. And that kind of deep perception, the kind that comes from a childhood spent more observing than participating, it leaves a mark, not always a bad one. Quiet kids grow up knowing how to think before they speak. They become the friend everyone trusts with real secrets. They're the ones who notice when someone isn't okay, even when that person is smiling perfectly. But it also leaves wounds, because growing up feeling unseen, unheard, and constantly misread by the world around you, that doesn't just disappear when you turn 18. There's a very specific kind of loneliness that quiet kids know. It's not the loneliness of having no one around, it's the loneliness of being surrounded by people and still feeling completely alone. You sat at the lunch table, you were technically there, but you weren't really part of anything. You went to birthday parties, you laughed when everyone else laughed, but you drove home feeling hollow. Because connection wasn't just hard to find, it felt like it was designed for people who weren't you. And when you tried to speak up, when you finally said something you'd been building the courage to say for 20 minutes, someone talked over you. Or worse, nobody reacted at all, like the words just dissolved into air. So you stopped trying as hard. You pulled further in. You built a whole internal world that was rich and vivid and safe, and you guarded it, because letting people in meant risking them not understanding again. But here's what I want you to really sit with. The very things that made childhood hard for you, the sensitivity, the overthinking, the constant internal dialogue, those same things became your most powerful tools. The kids who never stopped talking, some of them never learned to listen. But you listened to everything. You studied people. You learned empathy not from a textbook, but from years of watching quietly from the side. And somewhere along the way, you became extraordinary at noticing things others walk right past. You became the person who writes emails that actually land, who asks the right question in a meeting, who sees the warning signs in a friendship before anyone else does. You became the calm one in the chaos, the thoughtful one in the argument, the one who everyone secretly wants to be more like, even if they never say it out loud. What felt like a flaw, it was training. But becoming an adult doesn't erase the quiet kids still living inside you. You might have learned to speak up in meetings, you might have built real friendships, you might smile easily now. And yet, There are still moments when someone interrupts you and you fall completely silent, not because you have nothing to say, but because something old inside you says it isn't worth it. There are still parties where you end up in the corner, quietly observing, wondering if this is just who you are. There are still messages you draft, read 4 times, and delete because what if it lands wrong? That's the quiet kid knocking, not to hurt you, not to hold you back, just reminding you they're still there, still carrying things they never got to put down. So if nobody ever said this to you clearly, let me say it now. Your silence was never emptiness. The world just didn't know how to meet the depth of what was happening inside you. You were not broken, you were not behind, you were not less. You were processing, you were protecting yourself the only way you knew how, and you survived environments that were genuinely not built for the way your mind worked. That is not weakness, that is resilience with no applause. And now you get to decide what you do with all of it. You don't have to perform loudness to deserve a seat at the table. Your quiet has earned that seat 100 times over. The world needs more people who think before they speak, who feel before they react, who see what's real before they pretend it's fine. The world needs more of what you already are. If this reached something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because somewhere out there is a quiet kid growing up right now who needs to know they're going to be okay. And maybe you're the only one who can tell them. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.